Today is Saturday, May 3rd, 2025. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 48, Week 10.
Week 10. For us, Week 10 was a bit of a dip in terms of happiness with how the season was going. So I'm anxious to see what the other super fans thought of it. Check in with them. Maybe someone was able to see a silver lining that we missed. Or maybe they echo our sentiments. We'll have to find out, huh? How many super fans checked in?
24.
24. Oh, yeah. Just a point of business. Do you have an update?
On.
Jennifer.
Oh, Jennifer's home. My niece is home. They released her from rehab. She came home just a little bit ago.
Yeah, a few hours ago.
She's home now.
Fantastic. I want to thank everybody again for your support, your prayers, your thoughts, the good energy you sent her way. Hey. We appreciate that very much. You said we had 24 super fans checking in. We were laughing before we got started recording because I do this thing every once in a while where I'll look at the rate because we get some feedback. Maybe Pete will come in on Wednesday
Stacey
right after he
likes
watches.
To predict.
Yes, well, and then we'll get a little bit on Thursday, and then a little more, maybe get to about the halfway point on Friday.
It's going to be a light week. It's tracking to be a light week.
I did say that, and you agreed,
and
because
at
the point when I said
up.
it, no, you didn't. You said, no, I think you're right.
I said, well, it could be because of the episode. You think if it's like when David gets voted off, it's like, oh, yeah, everybody's going to want to talk about that. But when it's a kind of week, at least for us, I don't know if people are going to want to talk about it.
And it was a slow start, right?
Yeah, it was
in that sense, start. It was a slow. But you guys delivered. You showed up, 24 super fans.
Awesome.
Let's get started. First up, we got a call from Pete.
Pete!
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here, and I'm back after a 1-week hiatus. So I'm going to let out a great big even though, I don't know, it was kind of set up for nothing. I mean, I was hoping it would go to rocks, but Mitch, being stubborn, didn't want to go that route. I guess I can't say that I blame him. He didn't trust Mary or Star because they wrote his name in the David Tribal. And then Camilla was not going to backstab Kyle. There you have it. It was a predictable, easy vote. Getting rid of Star. Then again, I honestly think it's going to sound crazy. I think it was a mistake because Star is an easy goat for anyone to beat at the end. And even Joe himself said she ain't going to win any challenges. She's almost as bad as Crystal Cox, but with way more enthusiasm than Crystal Cox. Loved her rap, though, and she was a joy to watch, even though she didn't offer much, physically especially. I don't know now at this point. I mean, your final four going into the finale in a few weeks is going to end up being Joe and Eva, Shahin. But the question is, can Kyle and Camilla turn the table? But now, I don't know. It looks like it's going to be too late because they work with Mitch. Because Mitch and Kyle are kind of at odds. They don't trust Mary. I mean, you could still orchestrate a 4-4 tie, if Kyle joins them. But Kyle is, I think, too stubborn and into this Joe train now. And I do like Kyle. I still think Kyle could have a chance of winning, to be honest with you. And based on what they showed with the jury spaces, David is one of the most bitter juries I've seen in many seasons. Probably definitely in the new era, maybe going back to in the 30s, I'm going to say, Island of Idols, maybe with someone bitter. Honestly, Kyle could win. I think, honestly, the players have the best shot at winning now. Shahin by far is number one. They keep mentioning him, but if they let him get to the end, he's going to beat anyone, whether he's with Joe and Eva, even if he's with Kyle and Camilla. I think Shahin could win. And then honestly, Kyle and Camilla have the outside shot. I honestly don't think Joe or Eva could win. Yes, those two are challenge beasts, but I think they've done nothing big strategically to show the jury they could win. Mary has a slim shot in Mitch. Mitch is just going to be seen as too likable to take to the end. And Mary, I feel like, too, even though I'd love for Mary to make the end. But overall, guys, I'm digging who's in it. I wish it wasn't as predictable this episode, unlike last week. And by the way, I found out, I think in an interview and Rob has a podcast with Jerry, that David is dating someone from another season, but I don't know who it is. But that's a rumor. This is a solid episode. I got to hear Star's interview. Why she didn't play her shot in the dark, though. That's a big question. Take care, guys. Woo!
Whoa, thanks, Pete. Yeah, David's evidently dating someone from season 41. She was like the second one voted out. I went to look her up, and I absolutely could not remember her. There was no recognition.
What was her name?
I looked a couple days ago, and I can't remember. I want to say Sue? I don't know. She was completely, I had no recollection of her at all. That first episode in season 41 was a double.
First out, second out.
Yeah.
Does tend to fade.
They did two tribal councils in that one episode, and she didn't have a chance to make an impression on me for sure. She was on the same tribe as Shahin and Ricard.
You know, Pete said he didn't know why Star didn't play her shot in the dark. I had thought that maybe, first off, she didn't want to give up her vote. To put a vote on someone else, that could make a difference. And I also think that she didn't want them to think she was, I think in her mind she was just being confident that they were with her.
She said in her exit interviews that she didn't want to give it up. She didn't want to lose it. She didn't actually.
Okay.
She was pretty convinced they would choose Mary. Mary was a bigger threat than her, and so she wanted to have that shot in the dark in the next tribal council when she really thought they would be coming for her. So in a way, they blindsided her.
Okay.
Yeah. She also said that she never really had traction in the game. She recognized that she just couldn't get she couldn't get a duo going. Her number one regret was voting out Say, because she thought there might have been an opportunity there, but she took the easy path like everybody else did and voted Say out. But she said there may have been an opportunity for an alliance. Because Say was so eager to have anyone.
Well,
so was Star. But she passed on that chance. She said Joe actually came to her first about looking for the immunity idol, because initially they had agreed they weren't going to do that. And he asked her, did you find anything? She said, no, I'm not looking. He said, well, I'll tell you if I find anything, which then gave her the go to look. And so she found it, and then she immediately told him. That's how she said that came about. So, yeah. So she had a spark, but I could tell every once in a while from things she said in like the deleted scenes, because we didn't get to see a whole lot from her, that other people were telling her about, like in the deleted scene for this week, she's describing them describe the challenge for her before they go, when they get tree mail and they say what it is. And she's talking about how she's going through and listing different people's chances for winning and talking about how she's going to give it her best. I did believe she tried most of the time. She just wasn't up for it. Just like she went out there not knowing how to swim.
She was as confident as Mitch was.
Yeah.
You know.
Unfortunately for both of them, they're like, I think I got a shot at this one.
Yeah, I got on this one.
Yeah. And then
I'm going to get immunity.
Yeah.
No, it didn't happen.
Yeah, goose eggs.
Okay, did she say anything at all about Eva and her giving Eva the idol and then Eva votes her out?
Yeah, I mean, she
is
was
there-
hoping for more response instead of, Eva immediately saying that she needed to vote Star out afterwards, which was what she was meant. That was her reception for her good deed. I think if she had known a little more about Survivor, again, I just have the sense that she did not know a whole lot about it. She crammed a little before she went out there, but she
Who,
really
Star or Eva?
Star. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't tell with Eva either. She always seems to be, because she says things that are off about the challenges. Anyway, Star just didn't really know the game that well. And on top of that, she couldn't get her social game. She could get no traction there.
Yeah, they probably thought, oh, she's going to be great TV.
Probst did.
And she
Probst was pro on her for sure.
Absolutely.
He wondered if she could maintain the energy, he said, when he did the first Zoom call with her. And sure enough, when they came back and did the Zoom call with Probst and the CBS people, she was at the same intensity level. Mm-hmm. So they were, again, I believe they cast people they don't cast people for their ability to win. They cast people for their ability to deliver TV moments.
To entertain, yeah.
Yeah. And she got such a tribute. I mean, we've had people who said they were rappers on before and they didn't get the focus, the positivity that she got here on her way out. Anyway, okay, thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. I'm going to give my quick thoughts on this episode, and I'll try to keep it to a minimum because I did not love this episode, unfortunately. I did like the fact that they split up and we had a separate reward and immunity challenge. I think that's always nice. It just feels like we haven't seen a lot of puzzles lately, so I'm hoping we see a puzzle next week. But this episode to me just felt like another one where it was sort of over-edited and it had kind of a meta sort of feel to it. The singing at the challenge felt kind of forced and awkward. I didn't enjoy that much. I know there are a lot of people that, well, maybe I take things too seriously. And I didn't like Star's rap either. And Star just felt really inconsequential this episode. And in the immunity challenge especially, it just felt like she was never in it. And I guess that goes for any of the challenges that she was in. Just didn't feel like for somebody that's an athlete that she was really giving it her all. I don't know. Maybe she's just not very good at challenges. I did like the slow motion of Joe. I thought that was well done. It's just such a tense immunity challenge, and I think that did add to it, so I was fine with that. I was kind of disappointed this week in Kyle and Mitch. I think this was a week to really make a move. I still think there's potential next week. If Kyle and Camilla work with Mitch, Mary's sort of like a free agent, could work with her. I think Shahin's kind of like sort of hanging in the middle like a little bit. So I don't know. I think there's a way that they can make a move towards Joe and Eva. But I think the much more likely scenario is Mary is going home next week. And that's what I keep coming back to. But I look forward to hearing all the other fans' predictions. And you guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, it does feel like that.
Even if Mary goes home, it doesn't mean that they still couldn't go after Joe and Eva. Once they got down to that group, they could keep Mitch if they start, really. I think Camilla's stayed close with Mitch. So I think even Kyle, Mitch, Shahin, and Camilla could go after Joe or Eva if the opportunity arises.
Sure, you're saying it's 6, yeah. That's a possibility. It depends on Camilla and Shahin and Kyle and Shahin. What is that connection? What's the power of that connection, that alliance? Is there a shared interest there? I'm really thrown by how that conversation between Kyle and Camilla where he said, well, I'm not going to vote for Joe, but I won't stand in your way. And that just seemed like that was the dissolution of the secret alliance. That's what it felt like.
But would he vote for Eva? Because this would be a perfect week. Eva would just absolutely, oh yeah, done deal. Mary, enough said. I'm going to take it out. Done. And they could go, wow, Eva just buys it 100%. We could blindside her and get rid of all of her advantages. Be a perfect time to do that. And of course, you can't tell Joe, but you don't need Joe.
Nope. You don't need Joe.
Don't even if they don't tell Mary, they don't tell Joe, they still have the numbers if you pull together the 3 original SIVA members and Shahin.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I can't tell what the connection is between Camilla and Shahin. Are they looking for an opportunity to make a move?
Yeah.
Are they look to gain advantage? And then likewise with Kyle and Shahin, we can tell that they've got a strategic relationship. Are they, because they could certainly put it together at that point.
Well, we saw in the either next on or the commercial that Mary is talking to Shahin when she's like, you know, you got to make some big moves
Right.
here.
I think what I'm missing from Mary right now, too, is that sense of scrappiness. You know how she did the big fake out? She got in Say's head. Just totally messed her up on Vula. She went out swimming, went out too far as Say was concerned. She was too relaxed. She must have something. That scrappy Mary. So Mary could, if you bring Mary in, she could put on that act that convinces Joe and Eva. I don't think it would take a whole lot, especially given they showed us those conversations that Eva had with Mary and Joe had with Mary, where they're basically saying, I'm going to keep you around this time, but I'm going to vote you out. Your time's coming. To paraphrase those conversations.
Well, they show her being very frustrated, and you have to assume that it's because she's not getting ground with anyone, you know, and that is
No agency.
very frustrating.
And we know Mary could pull that off. She could pull that off as an act, so she could indeed.
Absolutely,
be,
she could.
I'm grasping at straws and strings here, hoping for something.
Well, but I like to look at all the possibilities of what could be.
There you go. We're looking. We're hoping, right, Robert? Thanks, buddy. Good job. Next up, got an email from Tara in New York.
Hi, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor friends. I might be coming in hot, but episode 10 left me feeling like Liz after missing out on Applebee's.
That's good.
That's good, yeah. I was convinced that Eva or Joe would be blindsided this week after reading the press release saying that 2 players at the bottom would target each other at tribal council. I was convinced that this just had been a brilliant ruse to ensure Eva didn't play any advantages.
I walked down that path with you.
Yep. The strategic underdogs would come together and defeat the strong alliance in a beautiful blindside. The reality was so disappointing. After a promising beginning, I'm starting to think we may end up watching the strong march to the end in an even more irritating version of season 45.
Yeah.
Some people love that season, but I'm definitely not one of them.
Yeah, I'm with you.
At the start of the episode, the scene between Eva and Mary actually shocked me a little bit. In the real world, I think Eva is a powerful, smart representative for autism awareness, especially in current times. I love what she is doing outside of the game. That said, I've never been a big fan of her gameplay. It felt very much like she was talking down to Mary, saying they could get rid of her whenever, and promising a heads up if it was her turn to go, whether she could do anything about it or not. I really dislike her treatment of Star, too. Something just doesn't seem honorable about targeting her after she handed Eva an idol. Also, Joe didn't come off much better, speaking to Mary as if he was teaching her how to play the game. I was so excited to see it bite them in their egotistical butts. After Joe won immunity, I thought, well, it's obviously going to be Eva. She's so overconfident, she would never see it coming. I still can't believe Eva wasn't even mentioned, and everything just fell apart.
Star did mention Eva. They didn't put it in the clip, but according to Star, she said, look, we could go after Shahin or Eva, but that isn't what we got in the edit.
We just got Shahin. I'm most disappointed with Mitch this week, but all of these underdogs made it way too easy for the strong to win out again. Mitch calling Star a joke had me yelling at my TV. I loved Star as a character, and at least she was trying to play the game. If only Camilla had been left back from the reward to persuade Mitch instead of Star. There may have been a chance. In fact, I was actually hoping Eva would win the reward to really show the true pecking order. Maybe that could have made a difference. I understand that timing is everything for Kyle and Shahin, but they are starting to worry me. With 7 survivors left, a play against Joe or Eva will be much more obvious next week, and Eva's arsenal will make it even harder to maneuver. They will have to wake up this week and play, unless they want to see both Joe and Eva at the end. I haven't completely given up hope for the rest of the season yet. It looks like Camilla and Mary may have to work some magic next week. My fingers and toes are crossed again for a Joe or Eva blindside. I can't wait to hear from everyone else to see what they have, see if they have any differing opinions this week. Thanks so much, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. Have a great week, all. All right, thanks, Tara. I haven't given up hope that somebody might do something. I mean, I could also see them just taking what they consider an easier route, but Tara's absolutely right. If they don't do something this week or next week, Eva's just going to have her ammunition to just waltz right on in.
Yeah, she has to play the safety without power this week. It expires after this tribal council.
Oh, yeah, it's only good through 7. So, yeah. Will she play it, though? If she thinks it's just... And who was she playing on? Ooh, what if she gave it to Mary? I mean, she said she wouldn't give her the idol. She didn't say she wouldn't give her. So, if she decided
I think her message to Mary was pretty clear.
But who would she target if it wasn't Mary? Because Mitch and Camilla are supposed to be in their alliance.
She could take Mitch off the board as a potential wild card vote.
Yeah, maybe. I think she'll save it. I don't think she will play it.
Likewise with Camilla. She might be more likely to take Camilla off the board. I mean, Mary is the easy vote. With no shot in the dark. You throw votes her way, she's gone.
She's gone. That's
Unless someone else finds something or gains something that they can use to Mary's advantage to flip the odds in their favor.
Yeah, or maybe there's a journey and she wins something that she can use for herself.
Thanks, Tara. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California, getting my feedback in the nick of time. I thought that was a very uneven episode. I mean, as always, as Survivor, I enjoyed it. But I was questioning a lot of the motivations of the players and what they had to say and how they acted. I thought it was interesting that both Eva and Joe had to have a talk with Mary about how she's going to be voted out. And I don't believe that was really wise to do. It reminded me of last season when Andy sat down and told our winner, oh, this is how we're going to vote you out. And that in turn ended up with her turning on him and voting him out instead. And I don't think at any point in the game you should turn to your fellow contestants and be like, so this is how you're going to go. I just don't think that's a great way to play. I think you lose your hubris and you know, your britches get a little bit too big when you think you're that untouchable. And Eva and Joe seem to think they're extremely untouchable right now. They are 2 of my favorite players, but I would really like to see them playing with just a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, just humbleness. Being aware that they could go just as easily as anybody else. Just as easily as anybody else. Now, Camilla, I'm a little confused by because the Camilla-Kyle dynamic, it has appeared to me over the last couple of weeks like he's just pulling her along. It has not been Camilla giving him as much information as him moving heaven and earth not to get her voted out because she's his number 1. But she hasn't really done a lot in that dynamic back towards him in quite a long time. And I noticed this episode, she's just kind of sitting around scowling most of the time, not being very happy. And I don't see her making any efforts to make relationships with any of the people that he has these great relationships with. That her whole game is she's his undercover number 1, but her plan to now go chop off the head of his alliance, I don't think that's going to go very well for her. I think there's going to be a point where Kyle goes, I can't carry her along anymore. She does nothing for me. I do everything for her. It's just very interesting. Mary seems to be scrambling. I think out of the people who are left that they want to slowly get rid of, I thought Mary was the most dangerous. She's definitely the smartest. She's the scrappiest. She could have the physical ability to win the challenges, and she's aggressive at who she wants to go after. I was dumbfounded that they voted out Star instead, and not just because I lost a save point, but Star wasn't bringing much to the game as a threat. Like, Star would have been the best person to bring along to the end as a GOAT, be a no-vote third-place finalist, and she wasn't going to win a challenge. She's not strategic. Yes, she could be annoying, and she's funny, but she literally was not a threat whatsoever. I still can't figure out why did they vote out Star instead. It's just so strange to me. Anyway, good game, guys. Can't wait to see what happens next. I think it's going to be Mary. We shall see. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy. Everyone have a wonderful Saturday.
Thanks, Rebecca. It's weeks apart for us. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something? You put your hand up. It's weeks apart for us, but just 2 days prior, we saw in game clock time, Kyle was saying, I need her. She helps me think through all the strategies. Yeah. So I think
he runs everything by her, and she helps him clarify things in his mind because he does struggle with that.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think that part's gone, and I don't think that he's actively dropped her, but it does seem like the dynamic shifted.
And she does feed him who they want, which is key to knowing what's going on both sides. So they don't have to try to guess, are they going to do this? They're going to. She tells him, this is what they're wanting to do.
Yeah, you're right. They don't show it as much, Rebecca, but definitely there's been a lot said about Camilla and Shahin talking and working together. That was certainly a big one on David and Mary's radar.
Yep.
And we do see Camilla talking to Joe, too. So it isn't a focus.
Yeah, it's not as out there. She's very subtle and very quiet, and they don't see her as a threat, I don't think. Not even the only reason they were targeting her was because they didn't want Shahin to have a number one.
Yep.
And that's why they felt threatened. But the other thing is, I think Star might have been able to win a challenge if they, made it a basketball,
Right. She was semi-pro at something like that. Yeah. But didn't we? I think we had one, but it was in the water, wasn't it?
It's in the water.
Yeah.
Yep. And she sat out because I was like, what? You
and then later we learned that she
can't swim.
She got a big issue with swimming, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why she sat out.
Yep.
That made more sense. But, if it was on something where that was very similar, you had to throw it like a basketball, she might have had a chance.
Good deal.
That would have been her wheelhouse anyway.
Right. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my survivor friends. This last episode was a bit of a disappointment. I didn't expect Star to go, and I can't understand why they would get rid of Star. She was not a challenge threat. She was not going to win. And Mitch was also very disappointing that he didn't go with the underdog group and get off one of the big guys out. Maybe Shahin or Eva would have been perfect. And now I have a feeling it's going to be, sadly, a win by Joe. I always like to see an underdog win. It would be very satisfying if I saw either Kyle or Camilla or even Shahin win the game. But Joe and Eva would be really a disappointment in my book to see them win, that they have sort of been together and the rest of the group hasn't played that well. Camilla, I really like her. She is so good, and even in adversity, the way she's planning. So let's see what happens next. And I just figured out that I won't be able to see the finale as I will be traveling, and I am coming to somewhere your part of the world. I'll be going to Canada, and then I'll be going to USA, so I'm a bit worried whether I'll be stopped at the border or not. So I'm super stressed about that. So let's see what happens, and looking forward to the next episode. Cheers.
Cheers, Rashmi. I'm sorry that you have that stress and that things are the way they are that make you feel that way when you're just trying to make a trip to check in on your family.
Well, we will hold good thoughts that you will have no difficulty crossing the border.
Or while you're here. Next up, we got an email from Matt and Summer in East Tennessee. Hey, Joanne and Stacy, we're back at home base at last. We were excited to have an episode with separate reward and immunity challenges, or as Matt says, the way it's supposed to be. I agree. Kyle winning the reward is impressive, but his choice of tribe mates to go on reward was initially a bit baffling. His confessional that his thinking was to fire up Star, Mary, and Mitch against Joe didn't make much sense and unfortunately was not to be. That said, at least Kyle has a strategy and is trying to make some moves. He seems to be the only player that has consistently thought about how he wins the game. Everyone else is either confident in their complete control or resigned to their fate. To use a phrase we learned from Stacy, it seems like a bunch of moms on vacation right now. The MOV Alliance, huh? For the briefest moment, it looked like the underdogs had worked a way out of the doom loop. We went back and forth on who to vote out for days. Matt had advocated for Joe based on the underdogs actually pulling off a blindside and Joe not getting immunity. And my thoughts were that it would be one of the bottom players. We chose Mary. Kyle's lukewarm support of Camilla's proposed targeting of Joe seems to indicate to us that his secret alliance with Camilla may take a back seat to his bromance with the Strong Tribe. But I'm not quite buying any real cracks in their alliance just yet. Joe's winning the immunity challenge killed any hope for a blindside, which wasn't happening anyway. For a big guy, he is surprisingly capable at these hybrid endurance technique challenges, and his win on this one all but seals the fate of the underdogs. At this point, we were still hopeful for the vote-off point. I mean, why take Star out before Mary? Surely Mary is the bigger threat. Apparently not, and no point for us. Again, we feel like the edit this season is clearly leaving a lot out in the storytelling. It is just hard to see how Eva has a closer relationship with Mary than Star, who gave her an immunity idol, or how Mitch thinks Joe and the Strong Alliance are more trustworthy than the underdogs. Loved Star's who do you see in your final three question. It was revealing in our opinion. Sure, maybe Joe and Shahin didn't answer because the answer was not you, Star, but have they really even considered the final three, and how will they win against who is sitting next to them? If so, we haven't seen it. We're afraid this season is close to being on autopilot if there isn't a shakeup. Matt thinks it might be Camilla and Shahin finally rallying the underdogs, but other than the David vote-off, it feels like the safe choice is to take the Strong Alliance's word for it, and Mary will be next. Thanks so much for all you do. Can't wait to hear from the other super fans. Thanks, Matt and Summer. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Ryan.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. This is Ryan from Central Iowa. So much potential, but alas, nothing happened. Kyle and Camilla, something is going on. I don't know if it's the edit of the show, but this episode, their relationship kind of took a weird turn. What seemed at first as a really tight alliance seems to not be there. I think Kyle's going to make the final three. Camilla will be on the jury. Reward challenge is good. I like having two separate challenges. Kyle made the right choice, but again, I don't think you can really make a right choice in this because someone's always going to be mad. Someone's going to get their feelings hurt. You didn't pick me. Like the immunity challenge showed how survivors really play the game. Star had no game plan in the challenge, and she has no game plan in the actual game, was what you saw. And Mitch, who is my USB, is playing way too safe, conservative, and I just don't think he wins now. I don't see a path for him to win. And I understand when he says that he doesn't trust anybody here. So how do I make a big move with people I don't trust? I can understand that, but at some point for him to be able to make a final three run, he's going to have to do that. Immunity, it was fun to see how close it was. Tribal was good. I enjoyed Tribal Council, And here comes David with the Derek Zoolander blue steel look. Come on, David.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. Are we going to get this new blue steel Derek Zoolander every single week? Is he going to be having this puppy dog angry face? I don't know, but it's enough. I liked how a bunch of the survivors kind of threw shade at him and said paranoia can get you out of this game, even though you're not supposed to be gone. That's exactly what happened to him. He just allowed his paranoia to rule and take over. I think he's still in the game right now, had he not allowed that paranoia to take agency in his game, and he couldn't readjust. I'm okay with Star going home. She didn't have agency and didn't really have a great edit. In the episode, one of the survivors, I think it was Joe, said, well, she's not going to win immunity. Mm-hmm. And for me, that should have been a reason to keep her and to get rid of Mary. I think Mary should have been the vote out. If it wasn't going to be one of the strong six, I think it should have been Mary. I just think she's going to be too much of a pot stir, and she definitely has the ability to win challenges, especially if it's a mental puzzle. I think she has a chance. Next week, I hope to see one of those bottom three make a move. The grade for the episode this week, probably a C. It was okay, but it left me wanting more. The question I have for Joanne and Stacy is, if you could remove one player from the final 7 on this season and replace them with a former castaway, who would it be and why? I would take Eva out because I think these last few days are going to be a real struggle for her and reading the room, and I just think it's not going to have as big of an impact. And I think it's going to be less fun to watch someone that can't read the room and gets taken advantage of. And I would bring back Carson from season 44. I think he would do really well, strong in challenges. I think he reads the room really well, and I think he's a very good strategic player. So look forward to what the other Survivor fans have to say. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy.
I think you blanked out on the weakest part of Carson's game. He fell apart at fire making. He completely choked. He just turned into a blubbering, tearful Carson, and Jam Jam had to help him practice making fire. So I would not... I
do like Carson.
It would not bring him back at the end game. I do agree. I have this, and I've had it all season with Eva, is this apprehension. I don't want her to go in struggle mode. I don't want her to have an episode or anything like that. I don't think it was, I guess it's good for us to see that she can overcome that adversity and that she knows to ask for help, and she offered that great example to ask for help. But
she is an amazing example.
Yeah.
For being
but
told
out here in this, I would take her off the board too. Who would I put in her place? Who would be interesting in this mix? Well, you know.
Rachel.
Yeah, she immediately came to mind. I'm trying to think, who can I say that's not Rachel Lamont from last season, who found her way against all odds?
I would love to see what Rachel and Camilla could do. Mm-hmm. If they could work together.
Ooh, or Camilla and Genevieve. Genevieve was so,
Yeah.
And we're just picking recent ones,
Recent's all I can remember.
Yeah.
But Genevieve would be good in that too. So that would give her an opportunity.
I keep thinking of, because it's easier to think of the winners, but what would Erica do in this mix? Could Erica come together with Camilla and Mary, or is that asking too much of the Lollipop Guild, the little people alliance there?
Just because they're short.
But they're so smart and strategically oriented.
So lucky. I really want to poach you. I'm short. He always calls me little stubby legs. Uh-huh. So you took me right out.
Mitch. I could take Mitch off the board too. He's...
No. Well,
he's my USB, and I want him to do better. I want him to be better, and
that's why you want to take him out of the mix, because it bothers you
that he's lost traction so much. Yeah,
but doesn't mean he can't get it back. I mean,
he's kind of like Star in a way, in that he never really had. He had Charity, but that duo was never enough, and the other Siva 4 were aligned against them from the go.
Yeah.
And so he's never, once he was without Charity, and because when they got shuffled, and then he never found another person. And so, and his ability to perform in the individual immunity challenge, he hasn't really shown up. So it's an
individual, no, but he was just so good. I think the lack of food really finally got to him.
And yet he's the guy standing up going, hey, we only got 6 more days. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 5 or 6 or 6 or 7 more days. So
Get on you.
we can forgo food. So is it or is it not? Is it significant?
I don't know, but I thought he was amazing in so many of the team challenges.
He was a big benefit to the teams and to his tribe.
Carried them.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
But that he hasn't really shown up in individual immunity. So
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Interesting hypothetical. Thank you, Ryan, for that exercise. Next up, we got a call from Pat.
Hey, Joanna Stacy, this is Pat calling in from Kingman, Arizona this morning. Well, I like this episode. I'm glad Star is gone. I never understood the fans' fascination with her or the love for her. For me, never really saw her. And then when I did see her, like in challenges, like she didn't even try. She's supposed to be this athlete, but she didn't seem to have a problem with just quitting challenges. I don't like that. I don't like people that doesn't even try. I don't care if you're good or not. You should try. You know, with my kids growing up, they all played sports. They were cheerleaders. They were everything. And I always told them that I didn't care if they were the best player on the team or the worst player on the team, but you had to try your hardest. And if your hardest and you tried your best was last, then that's okay, because not everybody is the best. So glad Star's gone. Eva, production really is trying to make her look cocky or arrogant, and I get that what she is saying and what they're using is what she's actually said, but I'm curious as to why. Are they setting her up for a big fail, or are they setting her up to just kind of run the table? I'm curious at how that goes. And speaking of being curious, has she asked anyone else for help if she has an episode like she did earlier? If Joe gets voted out, has she asked for help from someone that might be there for her? And then this season, is this the most jury talk that there's ever been showed? I wonder what that is about. This episode really made me have lots of questions, such as all this other stuff I brought up, but jury talk. Is that setting us up for something that's going to happen crazy with the jury? And then one last thing, Jeff. Jeff is trying way too hard to insert himself into the game. What Jeff reminds me of is the dad that has teenagers sleeping over with his teenager, and he's trying way too hard to fit in with the group and be the cool dad.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would just tell Jeff, look, yes, you make the show, but you're not the show. Stay out of it. I'm glad my USB is still in there, Mary. So, till next week, see y'all.
You make the show, but you're not the show. Stay out of it. I love that. Probst was talking on his podcast this week about how he wanted to inject some just positivity, and that's where the say it with me, sing it with me, chicken and waffles came from. I thought that's a perfect example of, look, he's in a power position. They pretty much have to go along with that. So, yeah, he forced and made that moment. I guess you take your check mark and
again,
get out of the game.
Himself into,
yes, he's so desperate.
and not letting it just play out.
Right.
Of course, sometimes just playing out is boring, but
but that's all we need from you. It's the castaways that we're here for. I'm personally never here for Probe. I worry that he does more damage than he does good. But,
well, I don't know about that, but
well, some of his ideas. I love that he wants to experiment, but it's like given an opportunity. If you need to go right, Jeff will go left almost every possible time that he's presented with that when they're looking at a change.
His opinion versus yours.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Well, like Pat was saying, just get out of the way. Do your thing,
Yeah.
set it up, and let it run.
Well, that's the way this social experiment, was meant to run. But after so many years, you know that they keep feeling like in order to stay present on TV and be remembered, we got to do this, we got to do more, and they have done a lot. So we have to give Jeff.
They've got all the ingredients. As long as it's like once they get done with casting, that's it. That should be the end of his meddling. Because that's all the pieces. You set those up and then you let the game run.
Well, I don't know how more people don't yell at him, and maybe they do. They don't show us because,
Because he wants positivity.
When he's saying a lot of things
Yeah.
during the challenge, when people are struggling and frustrated, so-and-so can't do but. And it's like,
Well, he's backed off on
like,
that.
shut up, Jeff.
Because
I'm trying.
he wants to project positivity. Like he responded to Mary when they were doing the pole hang and said, "Okay, I'll be quiet." Heard. He's not pushing in that way
Well,
anymore.
but Mary's more direct.
Which would almost
She
be
said,
funny.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Good deal. Thanks, Pat. Next up, we got a call from Nora.
Hi, Stacey and Joanne. It's Nora in Canada. Most of the fans agree with me that Mitch and Kyle blew it. Kyle started off with Camilla describing this secret alliance, but I think it's interesting that if you spend time not with your secret alliance member, but with the winning group, you might become something different because of sitting next to them all the time. And then you say to yourself, gee, I no longer want to upend things with my secret alliance member. I just want to be the GOAT, number 3 on the bench. That's all I want to be. And I think that happened to Kyle, and it's very interesting. How wonderful to have a secret alliance. I mean, of course, it's the right thing to do. Nobody's targeting your alliance. Well, David did, and David got out. But instead of seeing that as a win, Kyle just forgot his goal. Because when you sit next to somebody in the Power Alliance, you become them. You become indoctrinated by them. You strive for place number 3. And I think we're at the stage where the superfans no longer want people who have applied for 5 years just to get on Survivor and make it as far as they possibly can. But instead, the producers need to be combing the curriculum vitae and see, well, what did you win at? What did you try to place at? Were there enough contents you participated in where you absolutely drove yourself towards that winning thing? Because there really are two kinds of people. There's people who winning is everything to them. And then there's people more like me and Mitch and Kyle who, well, the B level, the type B personality, it's okay as long as I got there. I think we're all demanding now. This one has really infuriated us as fans. Chrissy tried to get Mitch to have a plan and let's get a plan on paper. Come on, let's do it. No, Mitch walks away from her. Star said in her exit interview with Rob, because he said, I tried to get them together, and Star says, well, I tried for a number 1 right from the beginning. She's forgetting. Remember, the producers made a point of showing Star lying on the beach. Go back and watch episode 1. There's 25 minutes, crucial time when you land on a beach with new people for you to bond with someone and have a number 1. She spent the afternoon instead on the beach. And, there was like 5 or 6 hours where people are teaming up and scheming, and she went and lay on the beach. Totally forgot that in her exit interview. Rob, unfortunately, didn't press her on that, a reminder of it. But there's people who really want to win, and there's those who just want to show. And I think we're at the stage where we only want winners. We want the producers to find them for us. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Nora. There's what was it? It was an article on EW where all the castaways are talking about their most embarrassing moment. And for Kyle, the one that he said lives rent-free in his head was he played lacrosse competitively in college, and he was usually like the star player, and his whole family showed up at a game to watch him play, and this guy who turned out later to, I think, ended up playing pro, completely smoked him, like scored on him 6 times in a row. And he was talking about how that was the most embarrassing thing. So he's not okay being the GOAT. He wants to be the hero. He wants to be, and he was the captain of his team. He said that just really shook him. So he's fine with the limelight and being on the winning team or being the winner in that regard. So I don't think he's giving it up, but he made that personal connection with Joe, and that seems like it was worth more to him than the secret alliance with Camilla, at least on day 19.
Well, and that even if he had to do it at some later point, he wasn't ready to do it then.
Right then, yeah. Thanks, Nora. Next up, got an email from Mary in Maryland.
Hi, all. Short feedback this week so I can get it in on time. I enjoyed your recap, Joanne and Stacy, and agreed with everything you said. They got our hopes up in the first half of the episode, thinking there might be some interesting plans underway to vote out someone from the dominant alliance. Once Joe won immunity, the episode was downhill for me. Watching the plans for the revolution fall apart and a predictable boot was disappointing. I am now assuming things will come to be a predictable end and the alliance will take it down to Final Four. Having Kyle win would save the season for me. I'm sorry to see his alliance with Camilla ending up not having a big impact on the game. Although it's been nice to see their bond. It's still Survivor and I'm a loyal fan, so I'll enjoy it no matter what, along with discussing it all with all of you. All right. Thanks, Mary, as we do as well.
Next up, we got a call from Anderson.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Anderson from North Carolina calling with my feedback for a week, whatever it is. I haven't got my feedback in the last few weeks. That's been going on, living my life. But, yeah, I lost the safe point this week. And the last few episodes are not my favorite episodes, but not my least favorite episodes. And I think Mitch just doomed himself to lose this game by not making a move and taking out Shahin. Sorry, being biased here on what I wanted Mitch to do. I had Shahin going. Next time, it looks like song 4 is going to get some Mary or Mitch or Camilla. I'll be that. Just want to know, is there going to be a 2-part finale this year? Because I mean, the format's not my favorite, but it's probably better than the 5-person finale. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Bye.
Thanks, Anderson. No, they announced that it was going to be, a 3-hour, right?
Yeah, they said a 3-hour finale, so I think they're going to go back to the normal.
We'll head into the finale with 5. So 7, there's 3 more, 7 this week.
Yeah.
6 week in the penultimate, and then on whatever it is, May 21st.
Yeah,
the finale
with 5.
We'll end with 5.
Unless they shake something up again
They'd have to do
here and there.
Yeah.
And they don't typically, but this is a new season, so we shall see.
We could have a non-elimination round. I
And
don't
we're
know.
very happy that your life let you get feedback in this week. Yay.
Good deal. Thanks, Anderson. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh calling in on a bright, sunny, really nice spring morning. I have to laugh because it's been quiet in the neighborhood, and as soon as I started to record this, I hear them doing yard work next door, so that may be interrupting while I comment. By the way, I wanted to say before I forget, I've wanted to say this for the past couple of weeks. It was so good to hear how your niece is recovering, Joanne. And I really felt great that you guys could get a lot of support from this survivor community, which you two started. So that was, I just want to let you know, all of us are very pleased at the news. Okay, now the game. Is it me or is it the season? I don't know. This season just isn't living up to season 47 for me. Last season, we had an underdog like Rachel struggling to remain in the game and then finally winning it. And there were so many times that I was cheering her on, like the time Gabe gave her that advantage and she could leave the tribal council, which she would have gotten voted out of. So I cheered. Well, this season, I can only think of 2 times I cheered. The time when Camilla and Kyle did their fake out. Kyle played his idol and was saved. And the time where Mary acted nonchalant to throw people off the fact that she might have an idol. And then when they did vote for her, she played her shot in the dark successfully. Those were cheering out loud moments. Mm-hmm. And I even have to admit that watching the power people play together is interesting because we rarely see it happen all the way to the end. And so if Joe or Eva do win, then they certainly deserve it. But it really doesn't make for exciting television. So what do I want? I want Kyle and Camilla's secret alliance to stick, and I want them finally to make a big move. By the way, Stacey, I went back and looked at the previews for next episode, and when he's talking about he has to hurt somebody, and it shows him sitting with Camilla, I'm thinking, I don't know if he's talking, the voiceover is about her or is it about Joe? Because he's feeling this loyalty to Joe now, and I'm wondering if he sees his game. I mean, I don't know what people think is going to happen. We got this power couple. You don't take one of them out, then you're saying you're okay with being the third in the final tribal council. And by the way, I know the fact that I'm not playing JSFL and that I had to binge the first 3 weeks of the season kind of put me behind the curve. So I think that's part of the reason why I haven't been as invested in this season as the last. So last week we were surprised when Dave was voting out. Are we going to get a surprise next week? I hope so. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks, David. We hope so too.
Yeah, I kind of think he's probably, this is the first time, I mean, it's been a week for us, but it's been probably the next morning for him that he's having to deal with, gosh, I really feel torn between Camilla, my loyalty to her, and my loyalty to Joe. Uh-huh. And that's just not going to work out in the end. They're on opposite sides, and so I'm sure that's part of, he truly doesn't want to hurt either one of them. Right. I think because he cares about them.
He's made connections with both.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
You can see it in one of the promos already this week. He's in the confessional where he says that, where he's sitting out on the rocks near the water. But again, you don't know for sure who he's talking about. But that what you're describing, what David talked about, fits. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of think it's both of them. He's in the position where he knows at some point he does have to vote for one of them.
And this is essentially the game. He's just highlighting the game. That's what happens when you're playing well in the social context of the game. You've made these connections. You have emotional bonds with people now because of what you shared during this time, and whoever you choose to go, you're gonna feel it.
Well, and that's why I don't know whether Shahin. Now, I don't think he'd have trouble voting Joe, but I think Shahin might have more trouble now to vote Eva because she came back and shared with him about her advantage, and that seemed to really make a difference.
You know what I want to know about that? I want to know if Joe gave her a heads up and told her, because Eva had been set against sharing the day before. When she got it, she wasn't about it at all. But I think because Shahin made Joe aware, I would not be surprised to find out that because Shahin shared that and Joe is perceptive and understood that Shahin saw a potential problem. Now, he thought Shahin was just trying to give him a heads up, his alliance buddy. But I would not be surprised to find out that Joe gave her a heads up and said, hey, you need to go ahead and share whatever that was.
That's not what he said in confessionals, he knew it, never questioned it, that she would, and she did.
Right.
So if he did do that, he hid it from us as well.
Yes, and I wouldn't be surprised that they hid it from us in the edit too, so...
He's like, I'm not going to talk about it and tell him.
Right. I'm going to spin it this way because it paints her in a very positive light.
Mm-hmm. You should do this.
Just a quick whisper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we never know whether they'll talk about it, even if they did do it.
Yeah, it's just my conjecture. Thanks, David. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Shahin in Australia. Hi, Joanna and Stacey. Hope all's well with you and the rest of the Survivor fans. My wife and I are, not Australia at this point. My wife and I are on holiday in Sanur, Bali. You went to Bali, didn't you?
No.
No?
That wasn't one.
Oh, you went to Bora Bora. Yeah. Thankfully, I was able to use a VPN app on my phone this morning and weaved past the geo-locking to watch the episode today. I had to quickly listen to your recap before I hit the hay. I like your initiative, Shahin. Good job. When the season began, I had very high hopes, and they continued when we were introduced to the cast. It was as if production leaked pre-show information on the cast, hyping the possibilities of this cast. I know this is normal, but it felt more intense. There was news of a Goliath who was purely fueled by chocolate milk. There was the mysterious bearded guy. There was the happy-go-lucky lady. The season was excellent right up to the merge, which is where the malaise began and culminated in what we saw in this episode. As a group, I think the Strong Alliance has been so steadfast that it's dulled any sense of jeopardy, and it's made it so difficult for production and consequently fans to find the Murgatory and merge vote-offs enjoyable. I get that trust is hard to gain and someone has to make the first move, but Survivor has always been about making that move, and I really expected more of the people outside of the Strong Alliance. Mitch and Mary's currency has plummeted dramatically, more so in Mitch's case, and I don't see an easy path for Camilla after Kyle furthering his connection with the Strong Alliance. Converse to the steadfastness of the members of the Strong Alliance, the members of the Alliance talk so much about jury management and their resume that they don't realize that their games are so poor on a strategic level. My currency in Shahin has slid so far after the merge. I think Eva has played a game, but not the game, further reinforced by her conversation with Mary, and Joe isn't playing Survivor. The jury is and will be a diverse bunch, and I think they will be one of the most critical of the 40s, as they should be. I really hope Kyle or Camilla pull it off and win this thing. If next week's clips are a red herring, then I think the season is a wash. Sorry for being a negative Nancy, but after so much hype and how well it's all started, it's upsetting to see how they are playing. It felt like the episode was forced. Thanks for all that you do. Cheers. Cheers, Shahin. I appreciate that. Yeah, I have similar feelings in regards to how things are playing out.
But we hope you put it all behind you and enjoy your vacation in Bali.
Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and once again, another really solid episode of this season. While the vote, I don't know, it didn't make a lot of sense. It made sense. I definitely was not putting Star as safe this week. I thought it was going to be Mary, but even then I was hesitant just because, I don't know, there's just more options in the air at this stage in the game than last week. So I was I don't know what to do here. But so my streak of getting the vote-offs correct ends here. It was a good run. Aside from the confusing vote, the episode itself was a lot of fun. Camp moments, and then also this reward was a lot of fun. It wasn't at the sanctuary, which is nice, a good change of pace, and it's just something that we don't see very often anymore. A boat ride like this, going to just an island that they don't spend a lot of time on. So it was a lot of fun just to change up how they've been doing the rewards, even though I hate that challenge, that reward challenge. Oh man, if I ever get on Survivor and I see that challenge, I'm like, nope, no way. I mean, I'll do it, but I'm not going to try to win that thing. Like, that sucks. That would be so uncomfortable. It's terrible. Whenever somebody has to pick people to go on a reward with them and send people back to Camp Grumpy, that's always fun to see how that all plays out. And that's one thing that's so much better than having these journeys thrown in there. Have a reward challenge and have like social dynamics happen, because that's more compelling. And I think that Kyle was playing, kind of overthinking a little bit here, but I liked it. I really liked it. I thought that he was putting in a lot of work in subtle ways in this episode, and I thought it was a lot of fun to watch that. Is it going to work out for him? I don't know. He's in a really tricky spot, and it's his head is telling him to make the hard decisions, but his heart doesn't want to. And I think a lot of players are in that position right now. So this final seven's and onwards is gonna be it's gonna be interesting, and I'm super excited to see what happens. And Joe, clutching up, winning immunity again was awesome. While definitely a great move to get out Joe in this spot. I don't want him to go yet. He's such a compelling player in this season. I'm loving this cast. Even Star, who isn't on it that much, but when she is on it, she's electric. And I think we know why now. It's just she wasn't really part of anything. She wasn't going anywhere, but they used her when they could, but when it wasn't necessary, they didn't show her because they didn't have to, which kind of sucks because, like I said, she's a good character, but she just didn't have that much impact. But no, I really like this cast. I really like these players, especially everybody left. I wouldn't mind seeing any of the people left win at this point. And whenever I feel like that, I know that one, these next couple votes are going to be heartbreaking, but two, it's going to be a wild ride, and I'm all for it. You don't really know if a season's good or bad until it's over, and then you can look back and it was actually, there was a little rough spot there where we were like, I don't know about this, but came out fine. Whereas sometimes you're just like, oh, this season sucks. But yeah, that's all I got. I will see you all next time.
Thanks, Parker. I enjoy that positivity. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hi, everybody. This is Kim from North Carolina. I thought that was a pretty lame vote out. It's pretty obvious to me that Joe has to go if anybody else wants to win an immunity. Earlier in the season, when they did the balancing with the poll, that very first kind of individual immunity challenge, I thought maybe Mary could be good at challenges and Star, but obviously I was wrong about that. At this point, if they don't get rid of Eva and or Joe, they're just going to be defeated by losing challenges. So I really hope to see a move this week. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I look forward to getting some insights from everybody. Thanks. See you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Yes, maintain that positive outlook. There is the potential for a move.
There is still a potential, for sure.
Even as it gets closer, there's other opportunities. It's hard when it's following the sort of predictable strong alliance plan. It's harder to watch. But yeah, like Parker said, we'll have to weigh it all when we get to the end.
Oh, yeah,
Don't want to get wrapped around the axle right now.
The finale can completely change how I feel about a season.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ever really look at that completely until the season is over.
Yeah. Thanks, Kim. Next up, we got a call from Brandon.
Hey there, Joanne and Stacy. Brandon from Indiana with my feedback on the latest episode of Survivor. Well, last week I said Kyle was probably my winner pick. Don't know about that anymore. I don't know about that. You can't keep Joe in there. Kyle will definitely lose to Joe at the final tribal council. There's no way Kyle beats him, I don't think. And it seems like he's really making a mistake in locking in and allowing another person from the bottom to go rather than Joe. Granted, he couldn't do it this week with immunity. I know we spent half the episode building that up and making it seem like, well, he's not going to stand in the way of it, but obviously didn't matter. Joe won immunity, and maybe we'll just keep doing that. We'll see. I'm really worried that Joe is going to just run away with this one. If he does win, I don't think it's necessarily a bad winner. It's just a bit of a boring watch. It's similar to the Boston Rob win at Redemption Island, in my opinion. Now, as far as the rest of the episode, I enjoyed the musical stuff. I see a lot of people online talking about cringe and secondhand embarrassment, and I've really kind of tried to move past that initial instinct and stop seeing the world as a thing to be embarrassed by, I guess. I don't know. It just seems, I think the act of being cringe or feeling that cringe is somewhat, and noting it has overwhelmed the ability to just enjoy a lot of things or just see people enjoying things and just allow them to enjoy things. I am very much in the mode of just, let Shahin make a fun little song. They've been out there for 20 days and they're starving. It's fine, guys. It's not that big of a deal, and it's not cringe. I do think that Jeff himself is pushing things and leaning into things because he realizes that this season is a little bit boring, because it feels very much like a different Jeff as far as recent seasons. He's not really being able to just let the players come up with stuff. He's kind of having to push a lot of things, and some of it I'm not a fan of. His English accent can go the way of the dodo, and I'd be fine with that. Also, real quickly before I go, I've gotten into Magic the Gathering lately, and folks that don't know, there's thousands of card variants and a lot of other different properties properties have been brought into it, like SpongeBob recently, Spider-Man. So there's another thing called proxying where you can make your own artwork for things. And so I've actually been working on a Survivor deck with Jeff Probst as the commander, and he forces everyone at the end of my turn to go into a tribal council and vote for another player to get rid of a creature. And just the ability to make different things like a banana etiquette card and a Queen Stays Queen card and stuff. It's been really fun, and it's been my project all weekend. But definitely excited to hear what everyone's thinking of this episode of Survivor, and we'll see who's going to win this one.
I like that. You come in with a completely different perspective. Thanks, Brandon. Next up, we got an email from Mary in New Jersey.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. It's Mary, also known as Scary from New Jersey, coming to you from the top of the leaderboard to give you my thoughts on this week's episode.
I like that. Bravo.
Don't worry, I know I won't be there long, as I have Mary as my USB, and I'm pretty sure she's out of there this week. That's what I get for choosing a USB just because we share a name. I did have Star going out this past weekend, and actually I had her for the past 2 weeks, but I was thrilled when they took out David instead. I did get the vote off point, but my quote-unquote logic was totally wrong. I thought Star, Mary, Mitch, and Camilla, Shahin, and Kyle would see the writing on the wall and vote for Joe or Eva, whichever one didn't have immunity, but then Eva would play her idol, and the two of them would send Star home. So I did get the point, but it was far less dramatic. And I don't see the underdogs getting themselves together to overthrow the so-called integrity tribe now. I understand why Kyle didn't go along with Camilla, but I think it might have cost him a spot in the final three. I don't understand why, once Joe won immunity, Mary and Star felt forced to write each other's names. Why not vote for one of the other strong four like Shahin? So I think my girl Mary is on her way out. It's been a good run, but I don't see any way she survives this tribal council unless she wins immunity. But so far, none of the challenges have played to her strengths. What are they again? Thanks so much for all you do, Joanne and Stacy. A special thanks to Stacy for Go Scary on last week's recap. It made me smile, and if I can figure it out, I'm going to make it my ringtone. Looking forward to next week. All right. Thanks, Mary. We enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I don't know what her exact strengths are, but she has been good. Oh, swimming. Swimming, she was really good in that challenge. Where she took the lead, that Star sat out and they shot baskets. Anyway, she was awesome in that. So she's really good at swimming. She would have a chance there. But
probably won't see him in the water again this season, though, unfortunately.
All right. Thanks, Mary. Up next, we have a call from Tuppence.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, this is Tuppence. I'm sure I won't be the only one saying this, but why did Star give Eva that idol when it clearly bought her zero goodwill? I mean, Eva's preference for strong men also seems like it's just actively a dislike of women, which is definitely grating on me. She seems like a pick-me, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Joanne and Stacy, but that's a term for a girl who derives her sense of self from her perceived value to the men around her, even if that's coming at the expense of women. And it's like the energy of someone who's not like other girls, which is like an attitude I used to have myself, but you got to grow out of that. And because it might not seem inherently wrong, but then not like other girls is inherently derogatory towards the quote-unquote other girls, and I think that's coming out in Eva's attitude. In general, I'm truly disgusted with the idea that this stupid strong alliance is, quote, playing with integrity and honesty. I was so glad to see David go. It's so self-righteous and so hypocritical. I want them to continue to implode, and I just don't understand how the Joe-Eva partnership is not seen as a huge threat. Not only does Eva have the idol, but they're also both really strong in challenges, and Star is inarguably the worst at challenges, so why was she eliminated? It's so It makes no sense at all. I have to believe she was just really annoying to her tribe mates. And I wanted to float this theory to see if you all agree. I think if we were watching this season, but it was a decade ago with this cast, I think Star would have had a larger role in the season because she would have been edited to be seen as sort of this jester character or like the tribe crazy, sort of like Debbie or Coach or Philip Shepard. Yeah. And in the new era, there's so little time to devote to fleshing out all the castaways and their dynamics. And so she's not given the screen time because I think the editing has become a lot more kind or just focused on the positive relationships that are happening. Maybe this is just this season. But one more thing about Eva, it's great representation to have the first openly autistic survivor player, don't get me wrong, but I do think it's absurd to imply that there has never been another player on Survivor who's on the spectrum. Many other players come to mind who seem like their poor understanding of social cues or their mental health or developmental issues are affecting their game much more than Eva's is being affected, or at least what we're seeing in this edit. Although based on people's exit interviews, it does seem like Eva isn't super well liked by her tribe mates, and I'm not seeing her connect with anyone else except for Joe. So maybe her social game is genuinely not very good, and her autism is affecting her game, but we're just not seeing it because, again, the edit is not really showing us any personality clashing. But all in all, this season has me thinking a lot about labels and perceptions, and it's also complex. I really do wish players had the full 39 days so we could get a fuller sense of the social relationships that truly make the show interesting. And I was surprised that CBS didn't edit out the players' reactions when Jeff offered them the rice, because that seemed like such a failure of a sort of temptation. They literally said, well, we have like 7 days left, so I think we're fine. And so they just really pointed out the way that lowering the amount of time out there has actually lowered the stakes of the game and the desperation of the players. And I don't know, maybe they're teasing us and season 50 will be back to 39 days or at least 32, I hope. We'll see. That's my time. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Tuppence. There's a lot of good points in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Probe said they will look at that, and they did recognize the significance of the rice negotiation not delivering several times now.
Well, even though you know a person is on the spectrum and that they have certain challenges that is simply the way they're wired, it's still, when you're out playing a game, you're hungry, lack of sleep, you're tired, you're frustrated, all of those emotions, it's still got to hurt when someone turns to you and said, oh no, I'm not going to play my idol for you, and we can vote you out anytime we want. So, but I'll let
just
you know.
Just not now. Yeah, I'll give you a heads up.
Yeah, I'll give you a heads up. I'll be sure I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm a good guy.
I mean, that's still it's like, oh, it makes you feel like crap.
It's not the first time that someone's done that either, and I don't.
Oh no!
I think people have been so overconfident that they've done things like that in the past, and they weren't on the spectrum. They just had a really poor social game.
So, and I think it's fine, even though she has challenges. It's still fine to react to what anyone says to you. Mm-hmm. So, because you have your emotions too, and you have to deal with them. So.
Star said she recognized all of that. She had, she say, a cousin and that was on the spectrum and in the same sort of area where Eva was. So she was used to being told, like, your shirt's ugly, or I don't like your shirt. Things like that when she's talking to her little cousin.
My response would be like, I don't care.
Probst has gone on the record multiple times saying no on 39 days, unfortunately, Tuppence. That's just not in his playbook. He must, I don't know what all went down with all that cost cutting that got us to where we are now with the Probst budget Survivor, with the PBS version that we live in now.
Or maybe he just doesn't like being away from home that long. They do the back-to-backs, and it adds a lot of extra time away from his family.
Mm-hmm. Not that he doesn't have his own villa where his family could come and visit, and that he was flying back in between.
Well, sure, but still.
Because he had other business things he had to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So if you want Super Survivor with all that length and more, you got to go to Australian Survivor. Yeah. Good deal. Thanks, Tuppence. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor Superfans. It's Justin from Michigan. So I'm going to try not to be a Debbie Downer this week, but it really was a disappointing episode for me. And the trajectory of the season, in my opinion, is kind of a downward spiral. So taking out Star here, to me, it doesn't serve a strategic purpose. It's just to go along with a plan of taking all the competitors, the perceived competitors, to the end. And the problem with that is nobody's realizing that they're the bottom of a large alliance. They're the ones that have no chance to win. And in my opinion, right now, that's Kyle and Shahin. They're content going to Final Four with Eva and Joe, presumably. Kyle and Shahin are not beating out Eva or Joe. Maybe one of them could take second place, but I think the jury will come to the conclusion of crowning Joe and Eva because they've been on top the whole time and nobody's taken a serious shot at them to this point. Kyle had that opportunity to flip the target to Eva once Joe won immunity. And that's the type of power play that wins you the game. When you take out the person with an idol and an advantage, and you take away the number one from the most powerful person in this game. And he didn't want to do it because he wants friends instead of $1 million. So that frustrates me. So at this point, I don't know what's going to happen. I think it might just be Mary or Mitch next week, which would be disappointing. But if it's not going to be Mary or Mitch and something happens, I hope it's Kyle or Shahin at this point, because with Eva's safety without power expiring, I can easily see Joe winning immunity again, and then Eva feeling like she might as well play the safety without power, leaving Shahin and Kyle vulnerable. It could come down to 3-3, Joe, Shahin, and Kyle. If they're smart, Mary, Mitch, and Camilla vote together to take out Shahin. And at this point, if I'm Camilla, take a shot at Kyle. I mean, I know it sounds, he's basically telling her, I'll kind of help you. I'll be a lukewarm alliance partner, but I'm not going to go all in with you. So yes, he says she's his number one, but his actions aren't showing that to this point. So I wouldn't blame her for taking a shot at Kyle at this point. So that's what I hope happens. Like I said, I think it's going to be Mary, and I hope they prove me wrong. Looking forward to what everyone else has to say.
I hope they prove you wrong too, Justin. I'm with you there.
Well, she's certainly going to be an easy vote.
Mary's going to be an easy vote. Okay. Yeah. You would think so. Yep. You got M&M. Which one you going to pick? Mary or Mitch? Yep. Could go either way in that sense.
Well, they could pick Camilla too, even though she and Mitch are supposed to be in the alliance. So, but anyway, I think they'll go for Mary unless Kyle's ready to do so.
I do think, I like Justin's question in terms of, I don't know if he was asking it that way exactly, but why do Kyle and Shahin think they are equals, that they have an equal shot to win? We obviously have an advantage with our viewpoint. We know more than they do from that perspective. But if you look at Kyle's story, I can imagine him at a final tribal council sitting with Joe and whoever and saying, I took your boy Thomas off the board. I inserted myself, and I got here to the end. He took Thomas, one of the 3 California girls, away from Shahin and Joe and got himself there. There's a story, and Kyle's holding back. He's not letting his full oratory skills loose yet because he's hiding the lawyer piece. And then he's going to break out, I did that because of the secret alliance with Camilla, and here's all the moves that we made along the way. And so I think Kyle may still have a formidable story.
Oh, I definitely think he does.
I'm disappointed and sad that the Kyle-Camilla secret alliance doesn't undermine the Joe-Eva in-your-face alliance.
Well, where was it we saw her say, I want one of us to make it to Final
Next
Three.
time on Survivor. That was part of what made me disappointed.
Yeah.
I understand the sentiment, but I would rather her said, I want us to make the Final Three.
You and me to be in the Final
Yeah,
Three.
not one of us, both of us.
But in my mind, Joe is closer to Kyle than Shahin. Because they don't 100% trust Shahin, or so they keep saying.
Mm-hmm. David and Mary did plant that seed that Shahin was working against them with Camilla.
Yeah, but she also.
But they didn't believe David, so.
Yeah, that he might have an idol.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Justin. Good stuff there. Next up, we got a call from Jade.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Jade from Hawaii. Just me this time. Poor mom's got a little bit of shingles, so she's just not feeling that well. But she did send me some feedback that I'm going to give you all. So she said, now that Star is gone, who's next on the chopping block? I think Mary or Mitch is in danger, although Mary is like a cat with 9 lives, and she might wriggle her way to the end. Actually, that sounds more like a snake. Mitch is very likable and charming, so I think he has a big target on him. People are noticing. Kyle is playing a strong game, and he is aligned with Shahin. He's also strong in the challenges and could beat Joe next time. If that happens, I think Joe will be voted out as long as they can keep Eva from playing her idol or advantage for him. So basically, I have no clue who will be next. The challenges and gameplay this season have been super fun and exciting to watch. Looking forward to the next episode. And my thoughts were that Joe and Eva seem to be kind of condescending when they talk to people about whether they're going to vote them out. Maybe it's just me and I'm sensitive to their tone, but they seem like a little bit too cocky. Yeah. And that could mean they face a bitter jury. And I guess in their minds, they're just being honest, but I feel like Survivor is kind of boring when you're honest. And also, Jeff mentioned that this season is about duos. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be great to have an Eva Joe versus Kyle and Camilla Final Four?
Yes.
I mean, I think I'm also considering that because Camilla is my new USB and I'm just cheering for her. But I think that would be really exciting to see what happens when those two duos go head to head. And whatever happens, I'm looking forward to seeing how the jury reacts when they find out Kyle and Camilla have been working together the whole season. I just want to see their faces. And I was wondering, a little Survivor aside, if anyone has been playing the Survivor game that Jeff came out with. So Mom and I got it, and we played with some of our family, and it was really fun. Obviously, it's not exactly the same as Survivor, but there are a lot of really interesting twists and rules, and we ended up forming an alliance, Mom and I, of course, and we amassed some extra votes, and then we tried to put them on the other side by like splitting the votes, and we had this very complicated plan, but the other side played an idol and they put all their votes on me, so we ended up losing. But not surprisingly, Mom and I, as super fans, we just played way too hard because we were just having so much fun, and it was great to play while drinking wine and sitting in air conditioning. That's personally how I like to play Survivor. Otherwise, I'll just watch it on my screen. Anyway, I look forward to hearing what everyone else has to say, as I, like Mom, have no idea what's going to happen next week. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, thanks, Jade. I enjoyed hearing that experience. We don't know anything about that. Haven't checked out the game yet.
And please convey to Christine that she will be in our thoughts and prayers for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, you had a friend who went through that recently.
Oh,
that was
yes,
rough.
Yes. It was
she ended up in the
rough.
hospital, right?
Yeah, for a while.
Shingles can be,
Yes.
We're going to keep a good thought, for sure. Thanks, Jade. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose in Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I agree with your recap. This episode wasn't as good as the few before it. Star was the obvious vote off and the core four pagonging along. I almost snored as much as Mitch did. That's great. Way to work that in. My other observations, Eva won't promise to not write Mary's name, won't play the idol on her, but will let her know it's her, whether she can do anything about it or not. What a pal. Bulky, hulky, strong, Herculean people. Is this Survivor or the WWE? Star says they played Mary like a fiddle. Star's game was more like a sad trombone. Wah, wah. Shahin is the brain of the core four. Joe is the body. Eva's the heart. What's Kyle? 300-pound biceps? Those didn't save David. Those didn't save David from getting voted out. Mitch finally answered the question. He can take a chained pit bull if he runs far enough. If the core four keep plowing their way through the game, I'm going to call them the Snore Four. There we go. That's perfect. We're definitely going to use that if it goes down that path. Star kicked Mitch multiple times. He should talk to the HR department about that. Did anyone else notice that the crew was jammed in the bow of the giant speedboat? Got to keep those stinky people as far downwind as possible. Jeff should lease out the fried chicken and waffles jingle to help out the show's budget. Shahin slithers very well. Are they showing us that he's a snake? I thought he was a worm, but snake works too. Mitch must work in a high school. That whole jilted by Kyle drama was pure teen angst. Eva's definitely one of the guys. That whipped cream attack was something bros would do. Kyle wanted to tick off Mary and Star. Riling up Joe was an added bonus. The motley crew couldn't band together. It's just as well. I can't imagine heavy metal Mitch. Kyle likes to use little pushes to steer the game. Is he a border collie? Joe's whole Mary is the puppet mastermind tale sounded like fan fiction to me. Mitch wants to play a fluid game, but currently it's frozen like ice. Once again, Jeff's negotiation was his way or the highway. The tribe told him to hit the road. In the immunity challenge, Shahin was the tortoise, Kyle was the hare. The most thrilling part of the immunity challenge was the battle between Joe and the fly. Star turned up to 11, reminded me of Chuck Barris, and made me want to gong her. Did Joe keep kissing the blocks because his saliva is like glue? He didn't kiss the last one, though. Star needs to keep her wrapping under wraps. Camilla uses a little brush to keep the cobwebs out of her head. She should get a maid. Star's strategy is to not discuss strategy. That sounds like the rule number 1 of Fight Club. Spell immunity, get immunity. If you spell rice, do you get rice? Star trusted her gut. Hopefully they have probiotics at Ponderosa. The survivor gods were mischievous once again. The intended target won immunity. When she left, Star gave everyone the cold shoulder. Are we building a bitter jury? Next time, Kyle doesn't want to hurt people. Mitch needs someone to flip, and Mary really hates coconuts. Will Eva use her safety without power to remove a rebel voter from the tribal? That seems likely, huh? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. I love all the thought you put into that. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Survivor friends. Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Jeremiah here. Well, I think this might be the most frustrating episode for everyone in the Survivor community, it seems like. I know it was for me. I think all of us were really hoping that some of the people from the bottom would have figured out a way to get this thing done and take out someone from that strong alliance, but it did not happen, did it? Now, I say that as someone who actually got full points this week, which I almost didn't get the full points because I had picked Star early in the day because last week I completely forgot to make my picks because I got busy on Wednesday and completely forgot. So this week I'm putting some points in. I was like, I think it's probably going to be between Mary and Star because I just knew these goopballs would not get it together and to vote out either Joe or somebody else. So I figured it would be one of those two, and I stuck with Star. Well, then I was going to change it because everyone in the Facebook group really convinced me it was going to be Mary. I am so glad I didn't get the time to go back and switch it because I did get full points. But yeah, it's frustrating. I get it. You want to see people on the bottom. You want to see the underdogs try to find a way to fight back in there, but it didn't happen. No one seemed to be able to trust Star. That seemed to be a big problem. And it's probably the reason why she wound up going before Mary, but I'm not too mad at Kyle. I kind of understand his position. He's pretty much got a guarantee 4. Why would he touch that? Unless he may not be able to beat the people he's going to be sitting next to. Because I am really, very, very much convinced now we are going to be looking at a final 3 of Joe, Eva, and either Shahin or Kyle. Now, so Kyle needs to think to himself, if he's stuck, sitting next to those two, can he beat them? Now, I'm not really quite sure, but I do feel like there is a lot of bitter people, it seems like, on this jury, and I don't think they're probably going to blame Joe more than anybody, I would think. Chrissy doesn't seem to like Joe. Obviously, David doesn't seem to like Joe, I don't think. So that would mean that in that scenario, whether it's Kyle or Shahin sitting in the final 3 with those two, either they're going to give it to Eva or they're going to give it to Kyle or Shahin. So it's going to be basically one of those three I think is going to win. I know, I keep changing my mind. As far as next week's concerned, yeah, they could still do something, but I really doubt it. So it's probably going to be Mary to go home next week. Why would I think any differently? So that's probably what I'm going to go with. And yeah, frustrating episode, but still a great episode because it's Survivor and I love it. And it's the greatest show ever. Okay, all right, well, I'm on my way to Disneyland. You guys take care. And until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Hope you have a great time at Disneyland.
I like that she either has to use her
Safety without power.
Safety without power this week, or it goes away. Because then she's only got her idol.
Right.
And she can only use it on her or Joe. She doesn't have the ammo to protect them both. And there's still a possibility, even for next week, even if Mary goes home this week, there's still 4 people that could team up against Joe and Eva to break them up. So if one of them doesn't win immunity, then one of them's vulnerable. Because, she could play the idol for either one. So it's still a possibility to go after them. And really, even when they get to the final 5, they still could give it a shot again.
Right.
It'd be very real by then. And so I don't think it's necessarily completely predictable.
You're hopeful because you think
I'm hopeful
that the duo of Joe and Eva, that the Jova duo are really the primary thing, not...
I like Jiva better than Jova.
Well, you get to have the first 2 letters of his name and then the 3 letters of her name if it's Jova.
But I like Jiva. So you can say Jova and I'll say Jiva.
So in terms of breaking up that duo, if that's it, that there's not, because we don't see Eva and Kyle talking strategy, and we don't see Eva and Shahin talking strategy as much, right?
Yeah, I don't think that means they're not, though. I think they are. But anyway, I still think
because you really need that core unhumble duo of Joe and Eva to be the targets at some point.
Though, unless we see something in commercials or something that changes my mind or my thought process keeps kicking in, right at this moment, I still feel like Mary's the easy vote.
Yeah, it's the easy button for sure. No shot in the dark, no worry.
And especially if Joe or Eva win immunity.
Yep, good stuff. Thanks, Jeremiah. Have a great time. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California, and here are my thoughts on Survivor 48, Episode 10. Previously on Survivor, it is all about Eva and Kyle. Is the edit leading us to at least having those 2 in the final 3? There were a lot of instances this episode that highlighted Eva's lack of awareness on how her words are affecting others. I know she wants to be honest, but she's way too blunt, and her words are falling flat with a lot of people. We saw this when she was talking with Mary at the beginning of the episode, I think somewhere in the middle, and then during Tribal Council when she basically just was like, yeah, we're just gonna mow on over everybody. Keep with the plan. I also think they focused a lot on revealing that Kyle is not really 100% loyal to Camilla. He's only willing to help her up to a point. And by telling her that he's not with her in voting Joe out should have been a huge red flag for her. On to the reward challenge. I think that Survivor should name this challenge the Chiropractor's Nightmare. This challenge would be so tough on my spine. I don't know that I would recover. The fried chicken at the reward looked so yummy. I want the recipe for that. When I saw which challenge was for the immunity, I'll just say it. My first thought was I'm tired of this immunity challenge. And then it was exciting. So I think, I don't know how I feel about this one. I just feel like we see it all the time. And we had the reemergence of the full tilt boogie comment from Jeff. It gives me the ick for some reason. Like I'm back in high school in the 80s. Nobody uses that term anymore, Jeff, if it was ever really popular at all. Back at camp, I really did not understand Mitch talking about Kyle, saying he was surprised he didn't take him on the reward. Oh, I guess this was backed by the reward, but the edit hasn't shown us that Mitch and Kyle are close, so why did we hear these comments? And I definitely did not like Survivor editors lecturing us through Mitch, telling us, You at home are telling me to make a move, and I should make a move right now, but well, you aren't here. You don't understand. I felt lectured. I understand that every day is $1 million decision for you, but for us, it's just entertainment. We want to see what we want to see. At Tribal Council, I want to say that David looked like Anthony Perkins from Psycho. He has that resemblance to Anthony Perkins and his crazy eyes. Ugh. Lighten up, David. You're scaring me. And Star left, and in the end, I didn't think it was such a big deal. For me, this episode was just kind of disjointed, and I didn't have a whole lot of investment in it. I think that they increased Star's visibility in the episode because she was the one that was going to be voted out. They focused more on the fun side of Star instead of a lot of strategy because I don't think that she was really consequential to the game. I've had Shahin as my vote-off pick for the last 3 weeks, and I feel like he's on thin ice in this game. And maybe that's why I didn't feel much of an investment in it, because Star really wasn't driving the direction of the game. And having said that, I love Star. She's a great person. Just maybe not just such a great Survivor player. Well, that's it for me. I can't wait to hear everyone else's thoughts and impressions. Joanne, I can't tell you how happy I am to hear all of the good news regarding your niece. I'm praying for continued progress and recovery there. Till next week.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, yeah. What were you going to say?
One of the things that Star shared in her interview was that she, right at the beginning of the game, she got a hold of some snails that were bad, and it really wrecked her. And I meant to add this when Pat was talking about that, when he was talking about how she was like laying on the beach back in the beginning, and they showed that, and I totally spaced it at the time.
That she was sick?
Yeah, she said she had been a pescatarian. Is that the right pronunciation? Fish. They eat fish. That was the meat that she ate. And then she got a hold of those bad snails. She's like, no, not going to do that anymore. So when they had that opportunity to have some chicken at that one challenge, she was all in, switched to chicken. She said when she got to Ponderosa, she said, by the way, when she got to Ponderosa, it felt so good to be welcomed because she had spent those 19 days essentially ostracized. And that Cedric and Chrissy and David met her there on the steps and welcomed her in, and she sat down and ate a great big steak, and she loved every bite of it.
I'm sure she did.
But that was another factor. We've heard about that before, and you only learn it later when the person gets voted out that they ended up sick in the early game. Some people, it's like the stress wrecks them, and they get ill and can't handle it. In her case, she got
lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Weather.
Mm-hmm. She had eaten bad snails, and that obviously messed with her body, messed with her head, and then just being left out, not being able to build any viable alliances for over those 19 days had really done a number on her. So she was so happy to be at Ponderosa and have the welcome of those three. So.
Well, and when Jen was talking about David and, all his facial expressions and how scary he made himself look, I was like, David, that doesn't make me like you any better. I mean, you're
just
a
made me
public
laugh.
person, and it's not a good look, hon.
Yeah, he caught a lot of, from what I've read, he caught a lot of bad backlash
It's like,
on
smile, be
social.
pretty at least. You should.
Oh, jeez. It's really loaded.
Well, I didn't mean it in any derogatory way.
You should smile more.
Just, he is a very handsome, pretty guy. He looks. When he smiles, it's beautiful. People like to.
He just looked like a defiant toddler.
But it's like, yeah, like he was. You expected him to throw himself on the floor and beat the ground and kick his heels at any minute.
What a knob. Yes.
Which I used to do, so I can't say anything.
Yeah, but not at 39.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I don't know, maybe, but I don't remember doing it. But, but anyway, that's like, smile. I didn't like how it made him look, and like I said, it looked like all the sunken in.
Well, he was doing that. He was actively pulling his cheeks in.
I thought he even had makeup or something assisting the look.
Chrissy may have helped, yes.
Yeah, I just thought, no, that's not good. Especially since, well, I guess his face doesn't get seen. Though I wouldn't be surprised if he's done some modeling, because he definitely has posed a lot throughout the season. So, that's not a good look for a model.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
You figure he probably did some
means a
competitive
little or nothing,
bodybuilding. Yeah, which is
But
somewhat
anyway,
similar.
that just flipped through
Good
my
deal.
head.
Thanks, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and since I wasn't able to get anything in last week, I'll start by saying that I really enjoyed last week's episode, and that this week, well, although I have no complaints, it didn't hold a candle to what happened the week before. Now, as for the rest of the episode, I only have a few thoughts to cover here, with the first being that I have to say that I actually ended up with even more of a distaste for David this week over last week, when he actually was in the game and speaking. All of that glaring and scowling and brooding and whatever all else that he had going on over there was stealing the focus of Tribal for me. And I have to wonder if he's like this whenever things don't go his way. I sort of got an entitled vibe about him that I don't think I can shake now. Here's hoping that he softens before the season ends, but in all honesty, I'm doubting that'll happen. Next up is the whole Eva and Joe thing, and you know what? There's still something about Joe that's like tinfoil in my mouth when he's on my screen for any length of time. And with the tribe size dwindling down, we are certainly getting more Joe time. That said, I'm happy to see him start playing with an endgame in mind for himself. I honestly believe that part of my problem with him deals with the fact that he was so willing to give up his game for Eva, who herself is actually losing some of her luster in my eyes. I'm thrilled to see that the girl who started this game with so little faith in her ability to play Survivor now has confidence, but I'm starting to think that perhaps it's going to her head a bit. But for good reason, I suppose. Things are certainly coming up roses for her, and it's got to be hard to keep yourself grounded when everything else around you tells you that you're possibly on the top of your tribe. I'm wondering if she'll crash when things take a turn for the worst, and although I said when just now, I'm honestly unsure that anything can happen to change her alliance's dominance after this episode. I'm probably most disappointed that Eva was able to so easily write down and even talk about getting rid of Star, when Star was the person who gave Eva her biggest piece of power in the game. After 47 seasons of Survivor, I really believe that the phrase, "no good deed goes unpunished," would be a better tagline other than outwit, outplay, and outlast. I mean, David only offered Eva an extra number in her voting block, but she had more of a problem deciding to get rid of him than she did with Star, who gave her that as well as an immunity idol. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Eva just seems to have so casually voted off Star, whereas I really wanted to see at least a little bit of a struggle for her to backstab Star like that. And Mitch, well, as I see it, he sealed his fate as a runner-up, and not even in the final 3 sense of the term runner-up. We all know that Survivor is about making moves with perfect timing, and this was that time. Whether Mitch thought he could trust Mary and Star or not, well, let's face it, this was the time to make a move. It was the perfect time, or rather the last time that something like this could happen, because it only goes downhill for Mitch from here on out. Alas, he pretty much cemented himself into the lower end of a 6-person alliance now. And I guess that's why I'm going to travel the path of least resistance as well and pick Mary to go next. But I think as I say this, perhaps if Mitch shows his strength in a challenge, they'll decide that they need him to go before the easier pick-off of Mary. I still have faith that Camilla will muddle through a little further into this game, perhaps even more so after her, and I hate to say this, but her pathetic challenge effort of crawling through the sand. Clearly, there's no threat there. And lastly, I wanted to check it out, but I didn't have time. But weren't those immunity blocks that they had to balance squatter and less tall than they have been in past seasons? I'm pretty sure they were square blocks before, while they were rectangular this time around. That means they didn't have to stack as high as they used to when the word was spelled out, which lines up with Jeff saying that he didn't want challenges to go on forever anymore. Well, I guess that's it for me. Everyone take care. Catch you all next week. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
One other thing that was on my mind was I like Joe. That being said, sometimes I feel this arrogance and sense of entitlement, maybe more than arrogance. Sense of entitlement. Like, I am not capable of that, David.
Going back on my
How dare
word.
you not give me the respect that I deserve? Don't tell me I lied.
Right.
I did not go back on my... It was just that, like, how dare you? I
Yeah.
deserve the respect. I deserve it.
Yeah, we always have problems with people who do that.
Yeah, I do. But even though I still like him, I still think overall he's a really cool guy. But, you know...
We don't know anything about him. We haven't.
No. And we probably never will. But, you know, that little things like that bother me. I mean, yes, we give Eva a pass usually when she comes off as arrogant and just because of her condition. But,
I don't, but what I want to know is, are they?
Oh, well, I don't think they are completely because of, what you've heard in the interviews is that, and like I said, that's still tough to take regardless,
Well, she's still there. So her social game has been at this same level the whole time.
I do think that people would be more hesitant to pick her off early in the game because of it. Because they don't want to be seen as, they're not being fair to her. Or
I would take her out.
I even thought that with Mitch, which with his stutter, that they might give him some leeway with that. But my first reaction was, yeah, but you can't be at the end. You can't, I can't risk a sympathy vote or, someone who doesn't want to vote for you. And so, yeah, to me, I don't want to go up against you at the end because I think you might compete. That's bottom line in my book.
I would want to target her early because she made it really clear she didn't want to work with me.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the easy number one thing. It's
where you keep,
okay. Because you don't see that from Joe. Joe's making those connections. Joe's open to meeting and talk. Just like, well, of course, he delivered an arrogant answer to some degree. At least that's the way it came off in the edit when he.
Yeah.
But he was open to just going and sitting and having a one-on-one with Mary.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of ways it could go, but it goes the way it goes. But I just really do, because we know all about the editing and how it works and this and that, and they're trying to tell a story and build characters out of real people, and so we do recognize all of that, but it's still tough to put it together when you're trying to make your picks for the week.
Well, and it felt like such a blunder to get the misdirect that, hey, the revolution, and you didn't have to include that. They knew,
that was hype.
And they know how it's going. Yeah.
Keep it exciting.
So,
it's going to be this week.
Yeah, it's a complete rug pull is not out of the question to them when it comes to marketing for the next episode. We're here. We're the Survivor fan. I don't know if you need that to pull in somebody new.
So, yeah.
I don't know how well that works. Nobody's going to really understand it. So why did you do that?
That's the same thing when they show you what's coming up next after the commercial. I truly hate that so much.
Oh, yeah. That's
but there are shows that do that thinking, they'll flip the channel and won't come back. It's like, no, I won't do that.
Yeah, they believe that in the TikTok age because the attention span is so low, so they think they have to do that to combat it. But there's a type of viewer, maybe it's not the market they want. Maybe the market they're targeting really does do that. I don't know. But when I pick something that I want to watch, I generally stay there to watch it until I decide I'm not coming back.
My age group.
Yeah, not what is it? 18 to 49 is like the sweet spot, I think. I don't know.
Well,
you were definitely both outside of that. Yeah. I think the other thing with this week, since the episode aired and I read the Star interviews, I thought, man, that just makes me so sad. That's one of the worst, I've talked about it before, but one of the worst scenarios is that you do get on and you got no traction. You end up sick.
Oh, yeah.
And then no matter what you do, you can't work with anyone. And anyone could get cast on a season where the other players don't mesh with you at all.
They just don't.
And so you're just taking up a spot. Yeah, they liked you in casting. They thought you had some potential to deliver TV moments.
That doesn't matter if the actual cast doesn't like you.
Right. And they're the ones who decide the dynamics for sure.
Well, and some of it's just luck, Who gets sent away to do something? Who wasn't there when we made this alliance? Right. There's just so much of it, and it's so complex, and I think that's why it's kept our focus for so many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of, hey, let's watch how human nature plays out with this set of variables.
Yes.
Yeah, with these ingredients, what are the humans, what are these people going to decide they value? And that's part of the interest, obviously, with the strong alliance and what's
Sure.
held people's attention.
And there's so many people from different walks of life that want to try their hand at it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even if they don't really know it, that they're new watchers and they're like, oh, I just found Survivor. But
yeah, I love
it's
that.
like, well, still,
You absolutely want people to find it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The longer we'll all get to enjoy it, the more there's
That's right.
new people coming in.
Well, there is a lot of things on TV that I don't enjoy. Not as many as you. I watch a lot more things than you do.
You have patience for things that I don't find entertaining. Yes.
It's like, well, we can see. Though I am that way with some shows. I'm like, nope, not watching.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
We want to say a big thank you to everybody who took the time to send in your thoughts and your predictions this week and just how you're feeling about the season as a whole, how this episode impacted your thoughts for this season, all that. We enjoyed it, and we loved hearing all the personal aspects that were going on too, playing the Survivor game and all that good stuff. We thank you very much for taking the time to help make this show possible. And a big thanks to Scott, Hazel, Erica, Tara, and Christy for your donations. We greatly appreciate your support, that we put that towards our operating expenses. Thank you so much. Your generosity continues to overwhelm us, and we are deeply appreciative.
And if you play in JSFL, remember to make your week 11 picks for one person voted out and 4 people you think will still be in the game at the end of the episode.
We're excited for the next episode on Wednesday. We'll be back then with our recap.
Have a good one.